So real coping is doing something that solves the issue. So how do you feel better in that moment while addressing that problem that's still sitting there, right? I just got off the phone with a lovely woman. I've been really enjoying working with her. She's a senior who just wants to be healthier. She knows she deals with food addiction issues. She knows she deals with energy issues, gets too many colds. But, there are some folks who see me who don't have devastating illnesses, but just know that they could live better. And what we were just working on right before I came to you, we just hung up, is coping skills. She is a retired woman who's never really learned about coping skills. I had to define it for her. But the reason we're talking about this is because when she gets upset, she has a glass of wine. And if she has one glass of wine, she's likely to have a second glass of wine. And the problem is she's got bronchitis. She's got other issues going on. She's got energy issues. She's trying to eat healthier. And when you drink alcohol, guess what happens to your food choices? Then that goes down. And she goes from wanting a salad to wanting a hot dog, right? So we were just discussing this. And I'm hoping all of you can relate to it. I mean, hey, I can. I wasn't born eating kale like my kids got to. I grew up on macaroni and cheese and Chef Boyardee. And if you're in a bad mood, have some ice cream, right? So we often learn that if you're feeling badly, then you need to find a way to stop feeling badly as quickly as possible, right? We want to turn off the bad feeling. And so what do? Usually anything that will work immediately in the moment, most of the time, is not good for you, right? If you're exhausted and you're using caffeine to keep you going, eventually you're going to become resistant to the perk of caffeine and you're just going to become dependent and you're going to be more exhausted all the time. Plus your sleep's going to go to heck, right? If you have anxiety and you take benzodiazepines like Valium, Xanax, when you first start using it, you're like, oh my God, I don't have anxiety anymore. Except then it starts to not work that well. And then you need more and then you need more. And then you take it round the clock and you're still anxious all day, more anxious than you were before you started, right? So usually the quick fixes, they don't work out long-term, right? The other problem with a quick fix like that, where they're not even a fix, trying to not feel in the moment, is the original problem you're trying to solve still stays there, right? If I have a stress and I drink 2 glasses of wine, I might not feel stressed for a few hours, right? Problem is when the wine wears off, that problem is still there. And now added to it are new problems. Maybe a hangover, right? Maybe I've hurt my health because I'm sick and I'm trying to heal from something, right? So when you don't cope with a problem, but instead you try to suppress it, suppress the feeling, the problem never goes away. An example I give you is, let's say we have a pot of water on the stove and it keeps boiling over, right? And you can hear the sizzling, it's boiling over, right? When you drink alcohol or eat unhealthy foods or use drugs or cut yourself or anything else that people do that are unhealthy coping, right? If you do those things, all you're really doing is for the moment pouring some cold water on the top. So what does that do? It temporarily cools the water off so that it stops boiling over. But what's the problem? The stove is still on. So very quickly, guess what's going to happen? The water's going to heat right back up and start boiling over again. And that's what happens when you try to suppress your feelings rather than real coping. So real coping is doing something that solves the issue. Right? So solving the issue. So how do you feel better in that moment while addressing that problem that's still sitting there, right? We don't want to just pretend it's not there for a few hours and then build on it. We want to do something to fix it. So this is, by the way, this skill right here that I'm teaching you, this is one of the reasons why my rapid recovery programs are so successful. It was one of the main reasons, besides the fact that we're watching people every day, is when someone has a problem or they do eat off plan or something goes wrong, in the moment, we work through it with them and say, hey, what was your trigger? What did you trip over? How are you feeling that day? How did you sleep that day? What was going on in your life? And I help people see how it wasn't just, I felt like having a drink or I felt like having a cookie, but I help them see all the triggers. Some people, it's their sleep level, their work stress, not saying no, their mother, whatever it is, right? But once you can identify all the triggers, then we know what problems to solve, right? That it's not, I'm stressed and I drank, but as I worked through with her, I'm sensitive to rejection, and somebody said something like this. I'm sensitive to stress, and I was stressed about this. And all these other things are going on. I've been feeling sick and under the weather, and all right. And so when we put all those together, it's like, oh my gosh. So we need a coping skill for dealing with this person who upsets you. We need a coping skill of how to address that sensitivity you feel. Let's go through and figure out why it's there. I'm good with helping people with that. And we need to work on getting you healthier from this virus, right? So let's turn down that flame. A lot of people have had the stove on so long they don't even know it. They don't know, why am I always sweating? Why am I always so angry? When people are angry and they snap easily, it has nothing to do with the person they just got mad at. It has to do with their flame being too high, right? If you boil over too easily, then your flame is too high. Why is it too high? Trauma, stress, poor sleep, poor nutrition, bad boundaries, unhealthy relationships. All those things turn up the heat. And so when people are trying to get healthier, yes, nutrition is essential because the nutrition gives your body what it needs to repair the damage. And if you're eating the wrong things, it's creating more damage. So that's essential. But if you're doing nutrition and you're not getting better, then there's a good chance that it's not just the unhealthy foods that are adding to the flame, but there's a lot of other stuff that's affecting you. And so what I like to do is help people optimize all those areas. So I do want you to check that out. If you are using food or alcohol as a crutch to feel better, then you're not actually helping yourself feel better at all. You're just adding more fire and you're allowing the things that hurt you to stay. And if you really want to be healthier and also happier, we've got to face those things and address them.